Okay, so original question is a guy wants to fix a gap over here and then thinks he can move forward if he can fix that gap. So I can talk about that. I can show how to fix that gap. I don't want to get too carried away and listen, there's a lot to fix on it. You even mentioned that. See all these parts where your geometry doesn't match up? It's just going to get uglier and uglier and uglier. Um, there's just some really weird stuff going on. So what I can do is just talk about what you were talking about here, and then we can get into that. Okay. So let's just get rid of those where your gap is, and then what I wanted to show you was uh, that what you're getting this hard edge right here. See that the doon that's a hard edge. That's creating your problems, and that's coming out of the curves too. So my first instinct starting off was rebuild that surface with all these curves, and it just gets really funky though. So what I wanted to do was come back and go and look at these. Okay, so I want to show you two things. So let's start with first thing. Let's get. I'm gonna just for the sake of doing this, I'm gonna delete that. I want to capture that little curve there. Control C, Control V for a copy and paste, right? And then uh, I'm not sure what's up with that curve right there. So uh, what I'm gonna do is just delete that, and then uh, I would, if I wanted to look at the curves on this surface right here, the first thing, see how these are segmented too? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to merge those. So I'm just talking about the process too, just so you know, right? So if I merge, I just hit tab and typed merge. Now that's all one, right? I merged those edges together. But look what's happening here in the back. So I mean that in theory should come over here, right? And so I was going to fix that by going, okay, I'm going to join that, join. And then these two here, I can click those two and join, right? And then what I want to do though is like, well, so now that I've captured the three edges of that back there, if I delete that surface, here's this one. Normally, what I would want to do is have this end up over here. I don't know why this middle one, you know what I mean? It's just there's just something. It's just an odd setup. Okay, so if I did that though, I'll go show points. Look at so the points are basically just ridiculous. There's no dragging that point over here. Um, Same thing is going to be that curve is just a little bit better, right? So, but that's your original bad curve. And how can you see that though? So, a quick way for me to do it is if I just grab that curve and I go to construct extrude and I go like that, it shows me that seam right there. That caused me to really go look at it, right? And if I hide the edge, I can see the hard edge in that seam. So, no good, no bueno, right? So the first thing someone might want to do though is go rebuild, right? So if I tab rebuild, I just typed rebuild, that brings up this rebuild thing. And the way to get rid of that seam and thing is to rebuild by points. Get rid of keep corner points. See how it goes off? I've only got 10 points, so I could go to 100 points, for instance. And that keeps the shape of that curve. And with that though, I mean, I could go down to 50, right, and see how close it keeps. It still fairly keeps that curve, and that keeps it kind of clean. But let me show you. I'll go back now just to get a quick analysis of my shape. If I go like that, what see what I have there? I have kind of a hump, and that hump is always giving me problems when I try to finish it the way I would finish it. Because normally what I would do at that point is I would sweep um, that curve with this curve. So hold on, where did I got rid of that inside curve? Did I? Okay, let me back up a little bit. There, that one. So there's all those curves. So normally the fix would be I would have captured those two curves, right? I can rebuild them. Tab rebuild. I go with 50 points there, and then same thing on this one, 50 points there. I'm just right clicking as an OK. That's why that went by so fast. So I get the command. If you start the command, if you just want to exit, if you just want to finish the command really quick with an OK, you don't have to move around, hit OK. Just right click, boom, OK. So if I sweep that now from that curve to that curve, right? Then I get my surface without that seam in it. But there is still kind of that anomaly is there that's created from the points. See that jigger right there? It goes cocoon, cocoon, cocoon. I mean, to be able to fix that, you're looking at the point. You'd have to look at the points and then trying to slide that point over. You know what I mean? It just, the curve from the beginning would just have to be, you know what I mean? How to adjust that without getting that thing in it. Because what I was going to shoot for was getting rid of this curve, recreating that surface, and now I can collect this edge and get delete. I can too far away. That edge and this edge and run the blend. And that's how you would fix that area, right? But if I do that, and then when I try to analyze my surface, it just didn't, there was like this, it wasn't super smooth in that area, right? It's, something's just not quite wrong with it. I'm going to delete that, right? So there's that fixed without the gap, but you see the Humpty Dumpty thing right there, you know? So if I join these together now, edit, join, it closed the gap up, but it's just not a super smooth surface, which is what you're really looking for. See, if I zoom out a little bit, you can see it a little better. So now I'm going to back up. I'm just hitting Control Z to back up, and without doing that curve. And so let me go back forward to that. I'm going to get rid of this curve because both of those curves have that kink in it. And what I wanted to show you was I captured that. The difference between this curve and this curve, I'm going to turn on show points. One of those looks like a nicer curve, doesn't it? Like you actually drew it with meaning and purpose, right? And so just real quick for illustration purposes, instead of me trying to fix this, right? What I'm going to do is get rid of that curve that had the bad in it. Now I'm going to take this curve that I kind of really liked, right? And I'm going to transform it. I'm going to move it to here. And then I'm going to copy it from there to there, just to get what we originally were shooting for. And this would be as if you rebuilt the geometry that I'm pointing out, saying, listen, you need to rebuild it. And then the other thing is on this end here, I need to make those both match up to there, so I can turn the points on. And now with proper points, I can actually use snapping and get my points in order. See, so that's all. See how all your geometry back here just doesn't line up and doesn't do anything? It's like you really want to start snapping and have your ends of your curves snap onto stuff. You've got there's just so many gaps and any odd things, but I don't want to go too much there. So now what I would do is sweep that. I'm getting carried away with I want to say bad geometry, start over, but that's not what you asked. You asked for help on how to fix it, and then you could move forward. Maybe you like what you got. So now that's a fairly nice surface, right? I can get rid of that because I have the edge of it still there now. And now I can blend these edges, right? Nice tangent blend, and I can join those. And if I turn the edges off so I can see better, it's much better. You know what I mean? It's starting to look more like what you're going to shoot for when you're car modeling. But so what happened back here though now, right? So um, let's get rid of that curve. So now, uh, if that doesn't match there, and these, you're gonna have to rework these to get them all to fit. Because if I turn the edges off, you see that's not a smooth transition. That's not really joined in. That's not going to join in properly. So what I would have to do is I would have to get rid of that little patch, right? Get rid of that curve that was there. And now this is your new actual curve for that area. So I could just actually recreate that patch by blending that right there, right? And now that's definitely a smooth transition, so that and that patch can be joined together. And then now from there, you'd have to recreate this whole thing, but right? Is that what you want to do? Let's see, is there a curve? There's a curve there. So let's see, how does that curve look? Let's look at show points. It's not terribly bad. Is it connected? I'm going to zoom in much now to see what I really have that I'm working on, right? It looks like it's connected there. So what I might do is select this and join that, and then this, and then sweep. Let's try. I'm getting out of what you originally asked about now. Oops. And I swept that corner around, and those are now should be coming off each other, but I'm not going to start analyzing the whole thing. I'm going to stop there. You asked about fixing that problem you had there, and that's a pretty good fix compared to what you had already. So let's just see if that helps you a little bit to move forward. You saw what I did. You asked about fixing it, and maybe now you can remodel. My suggestion would be is as you start going through this thing to put it together, you really have to go back and find all those areas where your curves don't end up and match up properly. And then the other thing you really want to do is get rid of hard edges. When you're trying to create smooth surfaces on cars and stuff, hard edges aren't very nice. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that edge right there doesn't match that. So how do you create that? You know what I mean? It's you need to reevaluate what you have there. Okay, and then I'm gonna type some stuff too about the process that I think you were trying to follow with some of the other videos, whether it's relevant or not. It's just the way a couple other guys work when they're doing this. It's a really odd kind of workflow, but it works for them. So you trying to follow it though from a speed video is going to kind of be pretty tough going. I think the best thing to do is just get some base, just start being careful in your modeling and going that route. Okay, enough said. I fixed the gap thing. Hopefully it helps you. Okay, ciao.